Welcome back to part two. It's Marvin from Streamline Entertainment. And we were looking into the way the tabloid and investigators looked at the Jay Slater case in the early days and how we processed it in what we actually heard. Let's get straight into this.
We need as many people as possible to get involved. And I would urge, as another appeal, not just to those two people, there are people out here who know more. There are people out here who have information, who have seen Jay, who had contact with Jay whilst he was here. If you were in those clubs on that evening or in the early hours that morning, please come forward and tell us. You may be reluctant to pass that information to the police, but please use a hotline that will circulate so that people can give us that information. And it's the two options. He has either come to harm himself as a result of moving away from the area. So it's either I do not believe that he is in that close proximity to the rental. It's a very easy area to search. If he has come to any harm, it's either the other side of the lookout point, or it's a bit further down towards the town. It's one of those areas here, and obviously the longer it goes on and the more days that pass and the continued search, because the police are searching very, very well. They've got mountain rescue, there's lots of people up there. He will be found. If he's not found, then of course it brings that that other element, which is the third party. I have received information. There is no doubt an underworld here. There is an undercurrent here. There is a big drugs fraternity. I can't tell you at the moment whether that has an impact. I've only been here for less than 48 hours. But what I can tell you is the information I currently have, and the family have shared everything with me, and I've got lots of messages, lots of WhatsApp chats and everything. That is a line of inquiry.
So this got us thinking. So it's a line of inquiry. This could be related to Ruggs. And what did he hear, or what did he find out? Maybe from the bar owners, maybe from someone who was hanging out with the friends and thought, as long as my name's not mentioned, I'll talk to Mark Williams Thomas, because I do think he's got probably more information he didn't put out there about the underworld and the rug scene as well. Did he hear that basically Jay was possibly working for someone while he was out there? You don't know, but like I said, for that to be mentioned in this case and the people involved, he must have heard things or checked out the people who, were involved with Jay. Let's move on, people. So we move on to Mark Williams Thomas saying basically he would have started as a critical case.
From a starting point, if this was it was in the UK, I would have started investigating as a critical incident, and I'd have done everything so that you can secure the crime scene, the potential crime scene, or the location, and then of course you can come back down. Once you've lost evidence, you've lost evidence.
It sounds like to me he thinks that the Guardia Civil wasn't doing enough in those early stages, or taking it as serious as they should, because they should have treated it as a high level possible third-party incident of murder. That's what they should have done. He says in the chat, UK police need to say duck authorities. We do what we want for our people, our country, and get themselves out there. There'd been no forensics involved, or all. A lot more should have been done. I agree. He has blatantly just pointed out people have told him about Ruggs, and that is a line of inquiry. Thank you, Gemma Louise, who made a brilliant point there. So we have a news investigator saying it was critical into what he heard, but he never elaborated on that, and he left the island pretty quickly. Either someone said to him not to get involved, I stay out of it as it is, or he realised there was a massive rug underworld, which he wasn't going to really look into, because like I said, there may have been comebacks on that. That's my point of view. Because why would you start talking about something and then you can't finish it? That never made sense to me. And Mark William Thomas, he did do a good job when he went out there, basically at the end of the day. But I personally thought he was going to go a lot further. But like I said, it could have been very, very dangerous with him. And like I said, I think what people are upset about, that he did a complete U-turn in what he found out early on in the case. And I think generally, yes, he's taken reports from Lucy, Brandon, Brad, and whoever at the end of the day. But I think they played him very, very badly as well. We move on to NWT, who basically dug out Ayub Kazim of one of the men at the Airbnb. But I think he didn't mention Rocky because he wasn't, even though he was probably given Rocky's name, he wasn't 100% sure who that second man was. I think that was one of the problems. So Ayub comes out. He technically said that he talked to the police and they let him go. And the next day, which is odd, he flew back to England. And yet it was said that he's got an apartment or he lives out there as well. That didn't make sense to me. It seems like to me a lot of people involved got out of there as soon as they could. And like I said, don't forget, didn't he have to go back a few months later for questioning as well? Because the police wanted to actually see him. And I don't think, since that questioning is done, I don't think he's even been back to Tenerife. And I don't think he was at this year's NRG festival either in Tenerife as well, which is kind of strange because you would have thought that he would go there. We know that he's been traveling a lot. But like I said, everything they said didn't make sense. So it was MWT who basically contacted Ayub to get in contact with him to tell his story. Because it sounds like to me the friends panicked. And I think in the early days, a lot of people were panicking, like your Lucys, your Brad, your Brandons, because I think they knew Jay had passed or there was something seriously, seriously wrong. And they had to bring Ayub's name into it just in case it basically goes back to them in knowing something to do. If Jay, if someone saw what happened to Jay or someone grasped what happened to Jay, I think they were all covering each other. And I think they all started blaming each other as well. This is why I think this crew are not going to be able to do what they did before, because I don't think there's any trust. I don't think Lucy trusts Ayub and vice versa. I don't think Rocky trusts the situation too, because I think he was shocked how far this went. I don't think Brandon and his brother are gonna basically like working with these guys again because the operation went wrong and Ayub had to jump in to technically help them out. So it seems. Let's get straight into this.
That's why I kind of stayed. But I remember I was out the night before, so I'm not really trying to be out there a lot. So during that time, Lucy and my pal walked off to go. Like, I don't know if they went home or whatever. They were looking like I forgot something on the strip. I don't know. Yeah.
What would you forget on the strip in that early hours of the morning? This guy's making up as he goes along. What would you forget? The only thing he should have done is taken Jay home. So technically, what he was saying, at one stage, they were all together. That's what he's got. They were all together, and then they split up. That's his story.
And the little lad, Jay's pal, he was saying, I'm going home now. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like, he's kind of left now. Obviously, Jay was there because...
But if Brad and Jay was staying in an apartment, surely Brad would have had a card key to actually get in, and Jay lost his card key. This is what doesn't make sense, and this is what people are questioning. If you can say, look, maybe sort of Brad went off with a girl, I could understand that, back to her apartment, or he went on to another party. Okay, that would make sense. And Jay didn't want to go with him, and they were all saying that. I could understand that. But it doesn't, at 5 a.m. in the morning, gone, and you're on the strip. The only thing you want to do is sleep. And that is just the odd thing to me at the end of the day. So you get something to eat. But like I said, if Jay was high, would you really want to eat as well? That didn't make sense to eat. And then they stopped up somewhere else to get a can of Coke and something else to eat as well. That doesn't make sense to me. And plus, obviously, we hear from the eyewitness. He said Jay basically was carried off because he was unable to walk on someone's shoulder, two black guys' shoulders, which is odd to me, or two dark men's shoulders. That's what we was actually told by the eyewitness.
He refused to go home. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if he thought that we was going to be out till the morning.
So basically, he's refused to go home. He's saying he's not going. So why didn't you just leave him there? Because, like I said, it's not your responsibility. That doesn't make sense.
Or whatever. But he's but I did kind of make it clear, look, broski, like, he was like, bro, like, mate, he's left. He's gone back to the apartment. I ain't got the key or anything. Is it cool if I chill with you lot? And I went, look, bro,
He's basically left, and I haven't got my key. Why didn't Brad say, look, come with us? But don't forget, we heard a conversation that I think there was an altercation or argument with Brad and Ayub, and Ayub told him to go away. Was that the reason why Jay was left on himself? Because there was an argument over something, or something that got lost?
Just waiting for someone here, like, that's working here. Like, once she's rolling, like, I'm chilling, bro. Like, I'll give you the sofa and that downstairs. Mind you, I am a bit of a drive away. And he's like, no, it's cool, sound, bro. No problem. So I was like, cool. So we walked from, gone. Yeah.
Very, very odd, that scenario, because it doesn't make sense. You've got your friends, you're sharing an apartment with. He's got a car key, or you could stay with your other friends, Lucy and Brandon, and they went off and left him. That doesn't make sense to me. It really, really, really doesn't. It just seems like to me they needed to make sure that this story was right to getting back to the Airbnb. But I just don't think he got there. And I do believe the eyewitness that he was carried away. I really, really, really do. I think there was definitely an altercation. We've talked about this a million times, about the beach footage and obviously the Maruba as well, which has gone into. But it was weird. It was a very, 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 very strange couple of hours that was. And like I said, there was a video of Ayub definitely on that boat in the early hours of the morning. We can't really put a time to it as well, but there were eyewitnesses who turned around and said at the end of the day there was definitely some kind of altercation on that beach. So this was one of the reasons why so many people were actually praying in this case and not comfortable in this case just being an accident, because like I said, people seemed to be not telling us the truth. And that's what MWC said at the start. You know, we're not getting the truth. This could be rug related. That's what he said, rug related, and an underworld involved in Jay's disappearance. But he didn't want to say it, so I will. We then move on to family of missing Jay Slater witness says, we had no idea as police have been round. Police visited Lucy Law's home after she failed to turn up to court. Apparently, she was out the country, so it seems. Police attended the home of Jay Slater's friend after she failed to turn up in court for his inquest yesterday. Jay, 19, an apprentice bricklayer from Aldershot, Lancashire, was found dead on July the 15th. Following a major 4-week search. An inquest into his death held at Preston Coroner's Court on Wednesday, May the 21st, was believed to have halted after coroner's Dr. Adley said Jay's friends Lucy Law and Brad Gorhan, who were with him in Tenerife, could not be located. Coroner Dr. Adley said, we can't find them. They have denied who they are and have had the police looking for them, but we can't find them. What a coincidence. So we've had these Lucy, Brad actually come out. Brandon technically not saying anything. All he did was talk to NWT. So we've got the reports there that they denied who they were. But I think the second time they couldn't do it, unless it would have been more of a red flag. I think they were hoping that it would actually go away. And obviously, Brandon's mum got a summons, and that was recorded on video cam by the police officer who delivered that to her address, which is completely bizarre how he didn't answer that. And this is someone who, in the interview with MWT, he just wanted not to talk about the case and wanted to pass the buck. Oh, do you know Potter Paper's place? He was hanging out there. It was what I got from them. They were passing the buck, but MW2 knew they know more. And I think at that time, he probably realised that he'd been played a little bit and they weren't telling him the truth because they were covering up something. And this is what it was about. But we've got blatant evidence in why people think suspiciously of this case. When your friend had died, we technically don't know how he died, even though it's down as an accident. I just don't believe it. And then his friends can attend court or even on video link, and they've denied who they were. I imagine that was Lucy. I imagine that was probably Rocky, and I imagine that was Brandon as well. Like, oh, I'm not on that number. This has nothing to do with me. I think you've got the wrong number. It was bizarre. And then the second time, I think people involved had to have a word with them to say, look, you've got to go on video link or audio. You don't have to be there in person. I can understand Brad was on holiday, and like I said, that sort of managed to resolve itself out. And he came on the adjourned second inquest case for it to go forward. And respect to that, because he actually didn't turn up. But it was really, really bizarre. You can read the whole article by Charlotte Hadfield, content creator, 1051, content editor, should I say, 22nd of May 2025. And that was bizarre to me. And what we thought is that this is going to be massive, in that if they didn't turn up, surely that the family could go to maybe a criminal investigation, which I think they should have done. I think there's enough facts out there for them to do that at the end of the day. And I think there's people also with evidence out there who haven't come forward. We had obviously the young girl who come out on TikTok talking to Electric Paramedic about the things that we thought that was wrong with this case. And she confirmed everything that we said was right. Whether she was using a false name, whether, who would want to sort of put their real name out if they're young and capable of actually getting into trouble at the end of the day. And I was told a lot in the early days about, obviously, the trouble between the young people in Jay's area and how some of it did spill over to Tenerife as well. And they were from his area. So it tells you a lot. Obviously, we've been through, I am doing a documentary, but I am taking my time with that. But we've been through everything. But for me personally, it was just putting a reminder out there in what we heard. So people say to us, oh, why are you still talking about this case? Why not? When there's so much information that we didn't put out there, that the tabloid put out there, that the court put out there, that, a lot of important people had put stuff out there, and yet we're not allowed to discuss it because, we're talking rubbish. When these things come out that your friends are denying who they were, don't you think it's just going to put red flags people's heads and wondering why these people are not going to attend? Are they guilty? Are they trying to hide something? Because that's what it seems. It wasn't about whether they're scared of the sleuths basically talking about it. It wasn't that, because they already did some talking. Don't forget, Lucy was talking to Haley Comet, and Haley Comet was asking why she deleted a lot of information, the back and forth between her and Jay, which doesn't make sense. We've got bits through basically the documentary, but it's not enough. It doesn't really tell us the true story. This is my thoughts. So when people say, Marvin or Wax or Duncan, I know Wax doesn't discuss the case anymore, or Haley Comet or whoever, then what you've got to look at is what is actually out there to make people think there's more to this than meets the eye. And I feel very, very uncomfortable in just saying this was just an accident. This is why. But basically, the facts are out there, and it's just whether, obviously, something in the future will be done about it, or basically, will the family change their mind? Who knows? But we have got to give it a bit of time. I understand that, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions in why those questions were never answered. And I think MWT, good of him to actually go out there, because maybe we would never have got the information who Ayub Hussein were, who Rocky was, or whoever was at the Airbnb. There are a lot of characters' names, like Jonathan A. Was mentioned, and a lot of these people are career criminals. A lot of people that were out there were career criminals and gangs from London and up north as well. So it's a breeding ground for Ruggs, and for training people up, and for using young people and vulnerable people to deal Ruggs, so that if they get the rap, they get done for it. And if they don't come back with the Ruggs, then they've got to pay it off. And then you're indebted to this gang forever, and it could mean your life. That's what it's about. And like I said, there's enough information to tell us that. Tell me what you think, people. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment. And I think it's very, very important to put this stuff out there. And if anyone sees it or watches this, they'll know what we're on about. Thank you for all your support. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and follow the channel. Appreciate you.